What's your IQ? People come in all shapes and sizes. It's actually pretty easy to observe with the naked eye. Some folks are taller, some shorter, some skinnier, and some fatter than others. In fact, even in our backward society that says all people are the same, we know this is simply untrue. Still, when it comes to intelligence, people can get fairly heated over the topic. Although there's really no reason to. IQ is the best predictor of academic and professional success, occupation, income, health, longevity, and even criminality, amongst other things. Now, obviously, there are some other factors like drive, determination, motivation, physical ability, personality, sociability, and so on that impact your overall success. Where IQ is useful is in deciding in which direction you might want to go. How far you go, well, that's entirely up to you. That being said, let's get to the bottom of IQ and what it means for you. So what is IQ? We have systems of measurement for absolutely everything. This allows us to make an accurate comparison of something or someone against another. Time, weight, area, volume, length, temperature, etc. are all measurable. These measurements impact every aspect of our daily lives. IQ is no different. In reality, IQ, or intelligence quotient, is a measurement of human cognitive ability. It's basically just how smart you are. More specifically, IQ reflects how rapidly you can absorb or interpret new information. So why should you test your IQ in the first place? As with anything, I am a huge proponent of measuring yourself and maximizing your life based on your strengths and weaknesses. This doesn't change for IQ. For example, I do quarterly blood work and DEXA scans to ensure nothing is off with my general health and conditioning. Doing so allows me to stay proactive and indicate which changes I need to make to my diet or workout regimen. I've also taken a handful of IQ tests in my life, but the results have remained fairly static. Now, let's say I were to score something outside of my normal range. This might indicate potential issues with my mental faculties or some other underlying issue. Now, you do potentially run the risk of finding out you're a complete idiot. Conversely, you may discover you're secretly a genius. Neither is good or bad, it just is. Finding out either will help you make a lot of sense of your life. As a kid in the classroom, were you the one who always knew the answer and were forced to sit on your hands so you couldn't raise your arm anymore? Or were you terrified when called upon to read aloud to the class? Wouldn't it be nice to know why? Some people have bigger feet than average, but people with enormous feet don't try to cram them in smaller shoes for the sake of being normal. They adjust to fit. By examining your IQ, you can adjust your life and behaviors to fit appropriately. Let's face it, not everyone is cut out for college. Nor does everyone have what it takes to be a trailblazing, trend-setting tech billionaire, and that's okay. After assessing your IQ, you'll have a better idea of where you fit into the societal distribution of intelligence. For example, I had a really good buddy in high school who struggled immensely in class. However, he is an extremely talented artist, and his loyalty as a friend knows absolutely no bounds. Luckily, our high school had a reputable vocation program and a guidance counselor who didn't buy the college is for everyone myth. At a young age, my buddy decided to learn a trade that allows him to showcase his natural talent through his work, and today, he makes more money than most college-educated people I know. Unfortunately, we live in a society that lies to you and tells you you're capable of anything your wildest heart desires. Unfortunately, we live in a society that lies to you and tells you you're capable of anything your wildest heart desires. Of course, this is clearly bullshit. Most people are more honest than we give ourselves credit for, and we know exactly where we stand. Testing just confirms the things we've already known. So what's an IQ test? An IQ test assesses visual, spatial, and verbal reasoning through analogies, patterns, and classification. By design, the tests are intended to be neither culturally or linguistically biased. Although, if you don't know the alphabet or basic arithmetic, you're likely retarded. Yes, the R word is correct in this context. Don't worry, if you're reading this article, that's not you. The most accurate tests will be administered by a trained psychologist or Mensa organization. However, most of us probably don't have the time, resources, or interest in undergoing a professional IQ test. Enter the world of online IQ tests. Now, for most of us, an online IQ test will probably work just fine. They're also a fun way to pass the time or get in the occasional brain game to keep your mind sharp. One thing to keep in mind is that online IQ test scores are not official, per se, but they should give you a ballpark idea of where you fall. Stephen Hawking shouldn't expect to make Forrest Gump's "stupid is as stupid does" scores, and neither should you. Again, you probably already have a decent idea of whether you're smart or not. Take the SAT, LSAT, GRE, GMAT, or any other standardized testing. Educational assessments vary in format and look for unique factors, but they usually have a pretty strong correlation to IQ. As a kid, I always scored above the 98th percentile. Turns out that falls in line with my typical IQ test scores of about 129 to 136. So once you take a test, you're then assigned a score based on a normalized IQ distribution. This is essentially a standard bell curve with a mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 15. In a nutshell, if you score between 85 to 115, you're in the same range as about 68% of the population. Again, the average IQ score is 100, which is typical of your average American. Now that you have an idea of where you land, what do we do with the data? Well, let's take a look at the IQ test ranges and what they mean. We'll start by looking at different IQ ranges and examine the traits and recommended occupations for each category. IQ score under 70. This is extremely low, roughly 2.2% of the population. Anything under this mark is literally considered mentally retarded. These people lack the adaptive skills to be self-sufficient and usually cannot survive without assistance or supervision. 70 to 79. That's borderline, or 6.7% of the population. As far as employability, they may be able to bag groceries or collect shopping carts, but would still likely require supervision. 80 to 89, low, which is about 16.1% of the population. This is where you'd find your average high school dropout, drug addict, homeless person, welfare rat, or criminal. These people are smart enough to be self-sufficient, but not enough to build a life, find and maintain a job, or earn a livable wage. Anything below this range actually makes you inadmissible to the armed services, so it's no surprise that this is about the sweet spot for crime. 90 to 109, average, or about 50% of the population. In fact, most of us fall in this range. This is your average Joe. These people don't really do anything special or think about anything remotely profound. They're your typical consumers, which is why you'll notice that TV, music, school subjects, and general pop culture is quite stupid as well. 110 to 119, high, or 16.1% of the population. This is just a bit above the norm. These people will typically achieve some post-secondary education and have an original thought or two. Usually they'll settle into a stable 9-to-5, middle-class, office commuting lifestyle and not really desire anything more. 120 to 129, superior, or 6.7% of the population. People in management positions are often found in this range. They have the ability to recognize patterns, seek deeper understanding, and articulate original ideas. Although above average, they're not quite gifted or genius level yet. And above 130, very superior, or 2.2% of the population. This is where you'll find most US presidents, corporate CEOs, academics, and scientists. These people usually get bored fast, since they see solutions to problems much quicker than others and can often anticipate what is going to happen before the event occurs. Now, these are just some general ranges and categories, and they can be broken down even further into subcategories, but it should give you the basic gist of things. Now we can take a look at professions by IQ. It shouldn't be surprising that professions are also largely correlated with IQ, where those on the lower side of the range might have more repetitive type tasks like an assembler, food service, nurse's aide, things along those lines. And as you rise through the range, you'll get people like your police officers, machinists, salespeople, and into the higher categories where you get your largely specialized occupations such as attorney, chemist, executive, and so on. Keeping this in mind can be helpful to set realistic expectations when it comes time to make career decisions. Following the average range, you're probably going to have an extremely difficult time, if even possible, of becoming a brain surgeon. To the contrary, someone who is exceptional will have a very painful life working manual labor. For me, I already know I'm not smart enough to be a rocket scientist. However, I'd probably put a pistol in my mouth if I had to work as a widget maker in a widget-making factory. Luckily, I build websites and write articles for fine folks like you. So, still not sure? Well, go out there and test your IQ. For you smart folk out there, do you recall the torture of sitting through public K-12 classes just wanting to jump up and bounce the fuck on out of there? Hell, even on a day-to-day basis, I still can't go into crowded places without becoming irate at all the overweight mouth breathers with their faces affixed to their phones waddling down the middle of primary walkways. Confirming that you're not completely crazy for not liking Cardi B by calculating your IQ might provide some comfort. In fact, becoming aware of this information has made me much more patient with others. When I see a cashier fail to understand why I gave her $11 for a $6 ticket, I no longer fly off the handle when she proceeds to hand me back my extra $1 and explain that I only needed to give her a 10. So, have you taken an IQ test? What sort of insights did figuring out your score provide to you? Thank you for checking out this Menshrine content. As always, you can view all of our original content at www.menshrine.com. Before you go, make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.